Scotland, 1848. A textile factory. The deafening noise of machines. The suffocating smell of oil and wet wool. An 11-year-old girl, rebellious red hair, small calloused hands, worked 12 hours a day among giant looms. Her name, Mary Slessor. She did not know it yet, but that child, forgotten, invisible to the world's eyes, would one day be called the mother of Calabar, a woman who would face the impossible, save hundreds of lives, and forever change the history of Africa. Because, as she herself would say years later, Christ sent me to do the impossible. And I simply obeyed. To understand who Mary Slessor was, we need to go back to the beginning, long before the jungle, long before the legendary courage, long before the miracles. Aberdeen, Scotland, December 2nd, 1848. On that cold, gray winter day, the second daughter of Robert and Mary Slessor was born, a simple family of workers, but deeply broken. Robert was a shoemaker, skillful hands that created true works of art in leather. But he had an enemy he could not defeat: drink. In the early years, he still fought against it. There were good days, days when he came home sober, picked little Mary up in his arms, and made her laugh with funny stories about eccentric customers at the shoe shop. Mary loved those moments. Loved when her father was a father. But the good days became fewer, farther between. Her mother, also named Mary, was the heart of that home, a woman of deep, unshakable faith, a seamstress in her spare time, and a silent warrior who carried that family on her shoulders. She had 7 children in all. Mary was the second. After her came 5 more: John, Susan, Janie, Robert Jr., and little Catherine. The house was small, a single room where everyone slept together, damp walls, worn wooden floor. In winter, the cold crept through the cracks and stole everyone's sleep. But there was something in that house that money could not buy. There was faith. Mary grew up learning 2 realities at the same time. The reality of pain, when her father came home stumbling, with glazed eyes and strong breath, when he yelled, when he broke things. When her mother hid the children in the darkest corner of the room and whispered, "Stay quiet, he will sleep soon." And the reality of grace, when the following mornings her mother gathered the children around the old wooden table and read the Bible aloud. "My children," she said with that firm voice that only mothers of faith have, "the world out there can be cruel. Our home can be difficult. But we have a Father in heaven. And he never abandons us." Mary heard every word and kept it in her heart. She learned early to recognize the signs. The sound of her father's boots dragging down the street. The way he opened the door. The heavy silence before the storm. In those moments, Mary took her younger siblings by the hand. John, who was afraid of everything. Susan, who started crying before anything even happened, and led them to the farthest corner. "Let us play hide and seek," she said with a forced smile. "And you are very good at it, are not you?" And while chaos unfolded in the living room, Mary sang softly to her siblings. Songs her mother had taught her. Hymns about a God who calms storms. She was only 8 years old, but she was already a mother before her time. 1859. Mary was 11 years old. Life in Aberdeen had become unsustainable. Robert had lost another job. Debts were piling up, and there was no way to stay anymore. The Slessor family packed what little they had, some clothes, their mother's Bible, memories that could not be carried, and left for Dundee. Dundee was known as the city of the 3 J's, jute, jam, and journalism. But for the poor like the Slessors, there was only one J that mattered: jute, the textile factories. Mary would never forget the first day. She and her mother walked through the enormous gates of the Baxter Brothers factory. The noise was deafening, hundreds of looms running simultaneously, creating a constant roar that made ears ache. The air was dense. Cotton dust floated everywhere, entering lungs, sticking to skin, to hair. "You will work here," said the foreman, pointing to a gigantic machine, 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Half hour for lunch. Any delay, deduction from salary. Mary was 11 years old, but in there, age did not matter. What mattered was whether your hands were fast enough. In the first days, she cried in hiding. Her hands hurt. Her feet swelled from standing so much. The noise would not leave her head even when she went to sleep. But she did not complain. She could not. Because she knew that money, those few pennies, was what kept bread on the table for her siblings. Her mother worked in the same factory, but on different shifts. So Mary took on another role, taking care of the house. After 12 hours at the factory, she returned to the small tenement where they lived, lit the fire, prepared something for her siblings to eat, helped with Sunday school homework, and only then could she rest. But even exhausted, there was something she would not miss for anything: the nights with her mother. When everyone was already asleep, Mary and her mother sat near the fireplace, which barely gave warmth, but it was what they had, and her mother read. She read about David Livingstone, the great explorer and missionary, who was in Africa, breaking through jungles, saving lives, taking the gospel where no one dared to go. Livingstone's letters were published in newspapers, and Mary's mother clipped them out, kept them like treasure. "One day, Mary," she said, with her eyes shining in the candlelight, "one day, someone will need to continue his work. Someone will need to take Christ to those who have never heard of him." And Mary, at only 13 years old, felt something strange happen inside her chest. Something that burned, something that whispered, "What if that person is you?" But it was impossible, was not it? She was just a factory worker, a poor girl, without education, without a future. Impossible. Or was it? 1862. Mary was 14 years old. It was that year that everything changed. The Wishart Presbyterian Church, near where they lived, was organizing a series of special meetings, a visiting evangelist. Services every night. Mary's mother was excited. "Shall we go together?" Mary hesitated. She was so tired, working all day, taking care of her siblings. She just wanted to sleep. But something, perhaps the hope in her mother's eyes, perhaps God's quiet voice, made her say yes. On that cold March night, mother and daughter walked through the streets of Dundee to the small stone church. The place was packed. Workers, families, old people, young people, all squeezed onto the wooden benches. And then the preacher began. Mary does not remember his name, does not remember exactly what he said, but she remembers the presence. It was as if the air had changed, as if someone had entered that place. The preacher spoke about Jesus, not as a distant character from old stories, but as someone real, alive, present. He spoke about a God who sees the forgotten factory worker, who knows every tear shed in secret, who does not despise poverty, pain, weariness. He loves you, the preacher said, and it was as if he were looking directly at Mary. Not because you are good, but because he is good. He does not call you because of what you have, but because of who he is. And then it happened. Mary could not hold it in. Tears came like a flood. Years of pain, weariness, fear, loneliness, everything came to the surface. She squeezed her mother's hand and whispered, "Mother, I feel him here. He is here." Her mother hugged her daughter, cried with her, and whispered back, "He always has been, my daughter. Always." That night, Mary Slessor gave her life to Christ. It was not dramatic. There were no thunders or lights from heaven. It was simple. It was real. It was a broken girl saying, "Jesus, if you want me, I am yours." And God answered, "I have always wanted you, Mary, since before you were born." After that night, something changed in Mary. She continued working at the factory, continued taking care of her siblings, but now there was purpose. She began teaching at Sunday school. First there were only 3 children, then 5, then 20. Mary had no formal education, but she had passion, and the children felt it. She told Bible stories as if she were living them, made different voices, laughed, cried. And the children never forgot. She also began visiting the poorest neighborhoods of Dundee, places where even pastors were afraid to go. The pens, a labyrinth of dark, dirty, dangerous alleys, where gangs controlled everything, where violence was the law. Mary went in there alone, and preached. At first, they laughed at her. "Look, the redhead wants to save our souls?" But Mary was not afraid. She looked into the eyes of those young men full of rage and saw pain, saw abandonment, saw boys that nobody loved. "Jesus loves you," she said. Simple as that. "And so do I." It took time, but gradually, hearts began to open. Entire gangs started attending her services. Violent young men cried like children in Mary's arms. God was shaping his warrior. While Mary's ministry grew, tragedy knocked at the door. 1865. Her brother John fell ill. High fever. Constant cough. In a few days, he was gone. He was only 16 years old. Mary cried like she had never cried before. John was her companion, the brother she protected when they were little. Her mother held her hand and said, "He is with the Lord now, Mary, without pain, without suffering." Home. 1868. Robert Jr., another brother, also fell ill. The same fever, the same cough. And in a few weeks, he too was gone. Mary knelt beside the empty bed and asked, "Why, Lord? Why?" And in the quietness of grief she heard, not with her ears, but with her heart, "Because they have already finished their race. But you still have much to do." 1874. Mary was 25 years old. Her father had died, destroyed by alcohol and sadness. The house was even emptier. Only Mary, her mother, and her sisters Susan and Janie. offers me officer and first Walfers effort Berlam Furts. Watching the rain fall, her mother approached, sat beside her, and said something that would change everything. "Mary, do you still remember the stories about Livingstone?" Mary nodded. "He died a few months ago," her mother continued, her voice catching. "His body was found in Africa. He was kneeling, as if he were praying." Silence. And then her mother held her daughter's hands and said, "Someone needs to continue his work, Mary. Someone needs to go." Mary looked at her mother, and for the first time, said out loud what God had already planted in her heart years ago. "Mother, what if that someone is me?" Her mother smiled, with tears in her eyes but with peace in her heart. "I have always known, my daughter, always known." 1876. Mary was 27 years old. She sent her application to the Foreign Presbyterian Mission. She had no formal education, no theological training. She was just a factory worker. But when the answer came, it was yes. Her mother helped pack her bag. Few things, some simple clothes. The worn Bible they had read together for so many years. On the day of departure at the train station, Mary hugged her mother for the last time. "I am going to miss you," Mary whispered. Her mother held her face with both hands and said, "You will never be alone, Mary. Wherever you go, God goes with you, and so does my heart." And then Mary boarded, toward the unknown, toward the impossible, toward Africa, Calabar, Nigeria. September 1876. The heat was suffocating. The heat was suffocating. The humidity, unbearable. The jungle was alive. Strange sounds, deep shadows, a completely new world. Mary disembarked in Duke Town, and for the first time, saw what God had sent her to do. The Efik tribe dominated the region. Beautiful people, strong, but trapped in cruel traditions. When a chief died, his servants were buried with him. When someone was accused of witchcraft, they were forced to drink poison. If they survived, they were innocent. If they died, they were dead. And the worst were the twin babies. In Efik culture, twins were considered a curse. When they were born, they were taken to the forest, abandoned. Mary saw this happen in her second week. A young mother being expelled from the village, screaming, holding two newborns in her arms. And something inside Mary exploded. She did not think. She just ran. She entered the forest, ignored the warning shouts from the other missionaries, and there, among the bushes, she found the babies. Still alive, Mary picked them up in her arms and returned. The villagers looked on in shock. But Mary faced them and said something that would echo through generations. "These children are not a curse. They are a blessing. And as long as I had breath, none of them will be abandoned." And so the legend began. In the following years, Mary became more than a missionary. She became a mother. Her house became an orphanage. Dozens of rescued babies filled every corner. She fed them, rocked them, loved them. She did not live in a protected mission. She lived in the jungle, with the tribes, learned the language perfectly, ate what they ate, lived as they lived. And gradually, she won not only hearts, but respect. Tribal chiefs came to ask for advice. Witch doctors feared her. Mothers brought their children for her to bless them. She faced impossible situations, interrupted human sacrifices, prevented unjust executions, saved hundreds of lives, and always, when they asked how she did it, she answered, "It is not me. It is Christ in me. I am just." Available, 1915. Mary was 66 years old. Her body was frail. Decades of malaria had taken their toll. But when she looked around, dozens of children she had saved, now adults, with their own families, she smiled. "It was worth it," she whispered. "Every tear, every pain, it was worth it." On the 13th of January, 1915, Mary Slessor went home. Thousands came to the funeral. Tribal chiefs wept, and the jungle she loved so much seemed to fall silent in tribute. A factory worker, without title, without fortune, but used in an extraordinary way, because she said yes when it seemed impossible, and God did the impossible through her. Write in the comments, "Lord, use my life for your glory." Share this video with someone who needs to know. God does not choose the qualified. He qualifies the chosen. Christ sent me to do the impossible, and I simply obeyed.